edition of Listen Up. I am your host, John Dowl. My co-host, the good doctor, won't be with us again. Wishing her well in her pursuits, and she will be joining us soon. It is the 1st of October, and this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so get checked. Notice I did not say ladies get checked, I said get checked, so that includes men as well. A lot of people don't think that men can get breast cancer, but that has been proven false. So guys and ladies do get checked. Flu season is coming up, so get your flu shots and do what you can to prevent the flu shot. Keep your hands washed, drink plenty of fluids, take care of yourselves, and just keep the immune system strong so we can stay healthy. Moving right along, our guest today is Miss Candy Crawley. I'm sorry, Kawanda Crawley. I want to say Candy because it looks so good. Somebody has to look good. No, it can't be me. Somebody has to do it. You are a clinical assistant and intake coordinator, and you are the founder of a program called Fall Forward Support Group.
Yes.
Tell us, what's that about?
Well, Fall Forward Support Group is a support group that I decided to put together in Petersburg City area. With that support group, I decided that when you're going through the course of a day, you are stressed out. That's for anybody, man, woman. And a lot of times it's easier to just have someone to talk to, someone that you can have an open ear to and go in where you're not judged, where you feel that you have the ability to just communicate and find supports. So I decided to link up with Petersburg City Library. I'm designated every Thursday at 6 p.m. to arrange for the public to come in free of charge, to sit down for an hour and just talk, just vent. I use different stress techniques like breathing or exercises to identify what may be the issue that's stressing you out, to just take that time to just talk to each other and bond with each other, build effective, positive relationships in the community. And so far, so good.
Now, as I said, you are a clinical assistant and intake coordinator. You have a bachelor's in psychology from?
I have my bachelor's from Southern New Hampshire University.
And you work with the Richmond Creative Counseling?
Yes.
And what do you do with them?
I'm a clinical assistant, which means I have 3 psychiatric nurse practitioners that I work under. I provide care to our clients as far as their medication management, making sure that any of their needs are met. I schedule all of their appointments. As far as the intake side, we have 40 therapists, which continues to grow on a daily basis. So with those 40 therapists, we have to have clients. So all day I'm going through our emails, going through our phone calls, and assessing which client will match with the best therapist, because we have play therapists, we have art therapy, DBT, EMDR. It's so many different types of behaviors that people need to address. So making sure that I can match the characteristics with the right therapist, I match them up, make sure the insurance matches, and I schedule the appointment. I make sure the intake process goes smoothly as far as their paperwork. And once they're scheduled, we have them as a regular client, then they just come in for their weekly sessions.
Those initials that you mentioned earlier, explain to the lay people out there, myself included, what do they mean?
The initials of RCC?
Yes.
Oh, Richmond Creative Counseling.
And the 2 that you mentioned earlier.
EMDR?
Yes.
Okay. EMDR is a type of emotional management.
Okay.
And CBT is the cognitive behavioral therapy.
Gotcha.
Art therapy is when you use methods of art to release any type of emotions or negative behaviors and bring them into positive behaviors. Play therapy, same thing. A lot of times people think that play therapy is just mainly directed towards adolescents, but a lot of adults use play therapy to help them with anger, because a lot of times people can't talk and initiate how they really feel, but using art therapy or play therapy, they're able to demonstrate how they're feeling at that time.
You mentioned the insurance part. What is that like?
Well, I've done insurance and medical billing for quite some time. I used to teach at a local Richmond college.
Okay.
So I taught medical billing and coding. So I'm really familiar with the different insurances. But in Virginia, you have about 10 different insurances, including your military insurances. All have different co-pays and different co-insurances and deductibles. So just going through their websites and verifying their insurance and documenting their chart so that when the client does come in, it reflects how much they're going to pay for their copay. And if they don't have a copay at all, if they've already met their deductible, I just work with the insurance companies to make sure that our records reflect whatever eligibility the client has at that time.
So it's not one of these things where a client comes in and the insurance company is not going to pay, or we don't think this is a legit treatment.
No,
Oh,
I've
good,
already
good,
verified
good,
it ahead
good.
of time when I do the intake, the initial phone call.
Good.
I verify all the insurance. I document the chart from effective date to the copay amount to whether it's a co-insurance. That way, when they check in, it's just an easy, smooth process, and they can just focus on having their session and having therapy.
Good. What made you start the Fall Forward support group?
It was more so of just trying to figure out a way to help a family member, and then it went into, once I had the first session, the first meeting, I was just like, it in a way helped me. Mm-hmm. And I saw that when you're going through your weeks and going through your days, by Thursday, you're usually kind of drained and tired. And sometimes a lot of people don't have anyone to talk to. And while we were in the first meeting, we just talked. We talked and we just bonded and we focused, and it was all different age groups. It was children, it was adults, and we all just focused on ways to help each other. A lot of people lended their personal experiences and what have helped them in the past, because everybody experiences things differently. So how I may look at a stressful day, like I got stuck in traffic the other day and I was so stressed out I was just ready to go home. I chose to do acupuncture, which is something that's offered at RCC. I did acupuncture and was completely relieved of all my stress and was ready to challenge on this day. So I wanted to offer to people that type of feeling, a way that they could come into something, maybe be stressed and maybe be so balled up to where they didn't know what to do and they just left it at the door. Leave it at the door. When you come in, we're just going to talk. I'm not offering therapy. I really wasn't talking too much. I was just listening to everybody. Everybody was talking. Everybody offered personal opinions and personal experiences, and everyone left out feeling relieved, and because they could let go of a lot of stress. And that was the main thing I focused on when I started the group, that when you walk in the door, leave all that stress behind. Don't focus on what didn't happen this week. Let's focus on how can I change my behaviors so that I don't react the same way. You can't really control being stuck in traffic.
True.
But I can control how I react to it. You can't control how someone reacts to you, but I can control how I react to that person. So once you start taking that responsibility for it, the stress isn't on you anymore. You feel more relieved because you don't have to lash out and be negative to a person, even if they're negative to you. So that's mainly what we talked about in that first meeting, and then we just every week just talked about different points. Whatever a person came in and they were dealing with, then that's what we talked about for that hour.
Interesting. I never thought about that. I've always thought about once I get out of this traffic and said a few choice words, I get home or get to my next destination, and that's it.
And you're still a little angry.
Yeah, but I calm down and I get to where I get to my next destination. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I still have time, and maybe tomorrow hopefully the traffic report will be accurate, mm-hmm. or I'll take another route, mm-hmm. or maybe I'll try to stay a little calmer.
See, you came up with options.
But I never thought about going somewhere to talk it out.
It's always easier to talk about it.
Never thought about that.
Instead of arguing about something, being argumentative never really gets a person anywhere. And learning from your mistakes, the whole concept of fall forward is that you're going to fall. Things are going to happen.
True.
So it's how you fall. Most people think, I fell back. What if you're falling forward towards your goal, towards your mission, towards your purpose? Instead of feeling like I'm falling and I'm losing steps, if I'm falling forward, I'm not losing any steps. If you always think of the negative in a positive way, you're not discouraged. And sometimes you just need someone just to tell you and support you. And that's what I feel like the group is mainly just to support one another, support the community. Ultimately, I want to start doing things in the community, whether we're just going out and planting some flowers or going out, helping out at the local food bank, which is also is located in Petersburg, a few streets over from the library. But just going out, making some type of positive movement, because for one, it makes that person feel better, and then two, we're making a change.
All of this from just let me deal with, find a better way from dealing with the sense of a bad day at work, or how to deal with a bad day at work differently from the way I normally deal with it. So when I get home, by conversation with whomever, is different from, or it's not the usual.
True. Because most times you take it out on the people who's close to you. That stress you've experienced all day, your boss is arguing with you, giving you a hard way to go. You get home, you take it out on your partner, you take it out on your children. Come take it out, or not take it out, but come and release it in a supportive area. Come and talk to other people who's going through similar situations, because we're not going through it alone. That's just life. It's things that we're going to go through. How we handle it makes it better.
Interesting. So when I get home, I'm already de-stressed. And I don't have to bring that negativity home.
And you can start your weekend good, because that's Thursday.
Or I can get ready for the next work day or that evening in a better frame of mind. Interesting. This is Listen Up. I am John Dowl, and I am with Kawanda Crawley, clinical assistant and intake coordinator and the founder of the Fall Forward Support Group in Petersburg, Virginia. You mentioned you have a bachelor's in psychology, but you're also pursuing a master's.
Yes, in grad school as we speak.
Oh, where?
I'm doing Weldon University, which is an online university.
Okay.
I've been in grad school now for about 2 months.
Oh, just getting started.
Just getting started.
How's it going so far?
It's going great. It's going great. I love a challenge. I completed my bachelor's, and I was like, I didn't want to walk for my bachelor's. Okay. Because I knew my goal was to walk for my master's. So I think I'm going to stop there, maybe. But I have 2 children that are also college students, so it gives us time to bond and do our work together and just talk.
Are they going the online route too?
No, my daughter is in veterinarian school at Richard Bland. And my youngest, she's 16. She's in 11th grade at Dinwiddie High School, but she takes college courses at John Tower.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So no PH.D. or PH.D.?
Not right now. Not right now. I don't know. I have 3 kids, so I have to put all 3 of them through college.
Oh, but yeah.
I'm looking for scholarships. Those scholarships are great.
Well, they are there.
They are definitely there.
They are there. Tell me some more about this support group and some of the other things it offers.
It offers a wide range of things, because I look at it, I don't want people to just feel like we're going to come in here and just talk about one thing. Or we definitely focus on a wide range of areas. That's why I always give the floor to them and just ask them, like, what's going on? How was your week? Did anything different happen? And we just take it from there. If they respond with something that they have on their mind that's been weighing on them, always ask them first, what could you have done differently? Do you think what you did was effective? Did that work out for you? And then I offer them tools to read themselves and offer those tools or exercises. They can answer questions on, like maybe perhaps how the situation affected them or affected their health. And we just move from there. A lot of times people, especially myself, I don't always take the best care of myself. So getting angry and going through stressful situations, that affects a person's health. So moving forward, I've told the group that we're going to work on things that's going to better our mind, our spirit, and our bodies. When you're feeling stressed, go out and walk for 10 minutes, clear your mind. Start exercising and doing more things. Practice a healthier diet. So I'm like, we're not just going to talk about the emotional supports, but also physical supports, and arrange for exercise groups where we can get together and do this on a weekly basis.
Do you have regular clients, if you will?
Yeah.
Has there been a breakthrough, if you will, say one of your regulars, they came in and said, well, at first I was doing something this way, but since I've been coming here, I tried something totally different, or I never would have thought this would be the end result, or I would have wound up doing something this way or not doing something.
Recently, I had one of the group members who came to me, and we were just talking, casually talking, and she explained, she was like, if this was before your group, this is the way I would have handled this. She was like, but I did good. I did good. I didn't let it bother me. I didn't respond back negative. Someone was saying something negative to her, and she was like, I just left it at that. And I was like, good. I was like, how did you feel? She was like, well, I started typing all this other stuff first. She was like, but then I just erased it and I was just let it go. She was like, because I knew that that's not the correct way to respond. So I was like, good. Now that you're actually seeing the difference and you feeling the difference in your body, your mind, and you're putting those things into process, you're making changes. So I was very surprised because she was very tough to break, very tough.
On that note, we will take a break and we will return. This is Listen Up a Minute. We're back with our second segment of Listen Up a Minute, along with Kawanda Crawley. I am John Dowl. Ms. Crawley, I want you to talk a little bit about yourself. You're pursuing a master's in psychology. You have a bachelor's from Southern New Hampshire, 3 children in school, single mother, I take it?
Yes.
And you said a lot of single mothers, you probably stretch yourself too thin at times, and in order for you to be able to take care of others, you have to take care of yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you here?
Well, I started in the medical field probably about 15 years ago.
Okay.
I started as a medical assistant. I got
Okay.
my associate's degree, and I had just divorced, and I had to figure out how was I going to provide for these 3. So I became a medical assistant. I started working in the medical field, and then I just kind of got involved in a lot of situations where it was a lot of psychological disorders. So it kind of just trickled my interest, and I was like, okay, let me look a little bit more into this. And I really enjoyed what I was learning. I started working towards my bachelor's. So once I received my bachelor's, I worked as a QMHP, as a qualified mental health professional. I went into homes and worked with the clients and facilities. And from there, I was working with a lot of local hospitals like Central State, Tucker's, which is in Chesterfield. And that's when I decided, this was, since I started in the medical field, doing that clinical, doing injections, EKGs, and things like that, I was like, now I want to mainly focus on psychological disorders and the type of treatments that are going to benefit many people's loved ones, and a lot of people deal with psychological disorders themselves. So I was like, I wanted to work on that. From there, I decided, just focus on getting my master's. That way I could be a clinical licensed counselor and would be able to practice anywhere, basically in the state of Virginia.
So if that one thing just led to another?
Yeah, it just kept building up and building up, the interest, and it was such a great need for it. It was growing. The mental health field was growing so rapidly. I worked for a company where I was going into homes, going into schools, going into hospitals, and I didn't see a lot of mental health professionals. I didn't see a lot of people my age doing it. So I was like, it's a need for it. So I felt like I needed to find out what education requirements were needed for my degree and to have those positions that I wanted to hold. So I started investigating and making moves.
You mentioned disorders, so I'm guessing that suicide was one of the things that
Definitely.
you saw.
A lot of times we see a lot of people who get clinically depressed.
Yes.
Especially, it was a show a few years ago that I watched with my children. It was on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it, but the child was being bullied and no more than 15 years old and actually committed suicide. And it hit home because you never know what a child goes through, but at the same time, you just never know what anybody goes through that will push them to that point where they feel so alone. And you would think, well, how could a child actually do something to that effect? But it's something that we don't hear about often, but it happens a lot of times. So making sure that a person knows the steps to take when they start feeling alone, when they start feeling that they are desperate and there's nowhere to turn to. I feel like putting together this group, a Fall Forward support group, is an avenue for people to come in and have those supports that they may need. All the time, people don't have to come out and directly say, I'm going through this issue, I'm going through that issue. But sometimes just being around other people and being encouraged can help a person to keep pushing.
So the substance abuse thing, how that can lead to depression.
Well, with substance abuse, most times people turn to drugs, alcohol, because they become depressed. So all the substance abuse, all the drugs and alcohol would do is just intensify that depression.
Yeah.
Instead of them actually finding the root of the problem and seeking out treatment, they fall into substance abuse and then they become even more depressed, and then that depression turns to suicidal ideations. They start feeling that, it's no way out, so this is my only way out. And a lot of times we see where depression and substance abuse, it just lays hand in hand. It's no way around it because people have to find something to make them feel better about their lives.
And now with this opioid thing, that seems to be in the headlines now, but alcohol abuse still hasn't gone anywhere.
No.
Crack cocaine, I guess, hasn't. It's still there.
Yes.
But like I said, opioid, for a myriad of reasons, that seems to be in the forefront now.
Definitely. The reason I feel like the opioids has grown to the magnitude that it has is because those are prescribed medications. And a lot of times physicians abuse their rights and prescribe medications when they're not needed, and don't slowly or gradually move down that dosage so that the client or patient will wean off of it in a normal sense. But instead they keep them on it, and then it gets to the point where they're addicted. So even if they didn't have an addiction at first, they become addicted to that feeling that the drug is giving them. So they're constantly chasing that. So with the opioid addiction right now, it's growing. It's kind of out of control. You see a lot of younger people being put on medications for like ADHD and things of that nature. And sometimes it's not, well, I'll say sometimes it's needed, but sometimes it's not needed.
Right.
A lot of times just having therapy and counseling is always where you want to reach out to a licensed physician, a licensed doctor, to make sure that it's a proper diagnosis before you start any type of treatment. For kids, you want to make sure that they understand that they don't just experiment with different drugs or fall into peer pressure or something like that at school, because those are things that can be very dangerous.
No one realizes how easy it is to get addicted until you become exposed. And I'll give you an example. Until you've had a procedure and you've gone under, until you've been anesthetized, you don't realize it. I can tell you from experience, when you've had a procedure and you've been anesthetized, you don't want to wake up, because that is some of the best sleep you have ever had. When I had my procedure, I told the doctor, I said, man, give me some of that. Give me some of that propofol. Let me take it home with me.
And then you understand people
man,
can chase that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, those 2 days, I've never slept so good in my life. I mean, right then I understood what Michael Jackson went through, and I understood how anesthesiologists get hooked, because I mean, you never slept so good, but so that's how easy it is to get hooked.
That's how easy any
Yes.
addiction can be.
That's
People
exactly.
can get addicted to just about anything.
Yes.
Not just drugs.
Right.
I'm like,
yes.
they can get addicted to
Yes.
habits. They can
Yes.
get addicted to behaviors.
Yes.
They're addicted to people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's all just trying to maintain a healthy mind. Looking for signs, educating yourself is
Yes.
always the main key. Making sure that if you start feeling something, you're out of the ordinary, research it. I always say everything is worth a Google. You can find anything on the internet, and start looking up details on different subjects before you just make a decision on something.
And what you did, what you're doing here is so important. You have to have a support group.
Yes.
You have to have a support group, and you have to have somebody that you can trust. You know, if someone tells you something in confidence, you cannot go and tell one more person.
True.
You have to keep that. You cannot out someone, because that person trusted you, and you cannot betray that person's trust.
Yeah, and when you come into the support group, that's the feeling that I want everyone to have. That's something that I talk about at the beginning of the support group, that what we discuss is just for us to discuss. Yes, use these techniques and use these things that you learn throughout your day-to-day life, but whatever we talk about here is just for us to talk about. It's for us to grow from, to learn from, and that's it.
We're going to put your information up on the website. Thank you for joining us. Any closing remarks?
Just that if you live in the Petersburg area or Colonial Heights, Chesterfield, and you're available on Thursdays at 6 p.m., come out to Fall Forward Support Group. Show your support. Be encouraged, and I would love to have you.
Folks, for our executive producer, Larry Brown, my co-host, the good doctor, Dr. Rebertha Pope Matthews, I am John Dowl, and this has been Listen Up.
I pledge to be the change I want to see in my community. Register and vote.
I pledge to vote in all elections, local, state, and national. Vote.
I pledge to always remember people suffered and died for the right to vote. Vote.
I pledge to always remember we, the people, have the power. Vote.
I pledge to always remember to make a change. Vote.
I pledge to remain in school until I graduate. Register and vote.
I pledge to remain a law-abiding citizen and protect my right to vote.
I pledge to always demonstrate respect for myself and others. Vote.
I pledge to get out the vote.
I took the Get Out the Vote pledge. What about you? Vote.
Take the pledge.
Take the power.